Yeah. Hi. Okay. Are we ready to go?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
I'm just checking with Sai, make sure that we are on target, and then we'll get started.
All right.
I think Jesse's ready to go. Are you ready? Okay. So I'm really excited to be here, Ronnie. My name is Marc Valitutto. This is Jesse, and this is our first time doing a talk about supplements with kin+kind, and we have a nice, wonderful guest with us, our good friend kin+kind, Lejeune, with Perfectly Awesome. Just to give you a little bit of background about myself and Jesse, of course. I am a veterinarian who's been practicing for about 15 years. I started working with dogs and cats, and I moved on to do a residency in zoo and wild animal medicine. So for the last 10 years or so, I've also been working around the world trying to guide people on nutrition in other wild animals like giant pandas and pangolins. So we're Jesse, and Jesse is a 4-month-old boxer that has decided to join me through thick and thin throughout this home period with COVID. So today, as I already mentioned, we are going to be speaking about supplements as they relate to achy joints. And Ronnie is going to give us a really great talk about diet. Ronnie, if you'd like to give yourself a nice little introduction as well.
Yeah, so my name is Ronny Lejeune. I'm located out in the deep south in Lafayette, Louisiana, where I have been born and raised my whole life. I have 3 dogs. I have a 13-year-old border collie, a 8-year-old American bully, and a 15-and-a-half-month-old German short-haired pointer. And in addition to what I do at Perfectly Rawsome, I'm also a certified professional dog trainer, as well as a certified canine fitness coach through the Do More with Your Dog program. But I'm currently enrolled with University of Tennessee to get my canine fitness certification, which will make me a canine fitness trainer. So my area of what I would say expertise would be behavior fitness and nutrition for the canine species. And I really like how those 3 components come together for us to make a well-rounded, a well-behaved dog, both mentally and physically.
That's great. And I can guarantee I'm going to be calling on your services with Jesse for, you know, we try not to have a sedentary life, but we could always use guidance. I need the guidance, personally, for my. So to get started, I actually wanted to share a brief little presentation to go over the things that we wanted to talk about today. So if you bear with me, I'm just going to share my screen and find my application. There we go. Okay. Can everyone see this presentation? Ronnie, can you see this?
One sec. Let's see. No, I do not see it on my screen.
Okay, how about now? Let me check with. So this presentation, if everyone can start seeing it, I'm just checking in to make sure that some of our viewers can see this. Looks like we're having a little difficulty, so I want to.
It's up for me now.
It's up for you. Oh, great.
Yeah,
okay.
Super.
Wonderful. All right, wonderful. So let's get started. So, as I mentioned, this is specifically a talk about the supplements that we like to choose for our dogs and our cats, as well as nutrition as it relates to achy joints. So this is a very exciting topic for me as a veterinarian because unfortunately, it's not something that most veterinarians are focused on in particular because there's a multitude of really great nutritionists out there that really do a wonderful job of covering this area of veterinary or animal health. But me, for one, I love discussing nutrition because working with all of the wild animals, I feel like a lot of the nutrition is the first line of defense for any of the animals' particular health issues that I might see. So this is an exciting topic. And the areas that we wanted to cover include supplements in particular and why you might need them and how they help, achy joints in particular for this conversation, as well as the causes and their symptoms. What are some of the natural methods for pain relief of achy joints, and how do we treat it, and how do we prevent it? And finally, which is something that Ronny is going to really discuss in full, is, well, not in full, but briefly at least here, is how nutrition and supplemental nutrition can help us treat our achy joints. So supplements. A lot of you have probably been overwhelmed by the number of supplements that are out there. You see them at so many different venues like Chewy, Amazon, just general areas online. And it seems like any pet company out there these days is selling a supplement, which is wonderful, honestly. And they include multivitamins, supplements that specifically target your hip and joints, calming supplements, urinary tract, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But where do you begin? Every dog is different. How do I choose which supplement to give to my dog? And how do I choose which company is providing me with the best supplement? And so for that reason, we wanted to go through with you some of the reasons why I personally select a supplement and why I might recommend to some of my clients why they should consider supplements. So just in brief, dietary supplements are diet enhancers. They cannot stand on their own. You can't just feed a supplement and expect to get all of the good nutrition out there. Dietary supplements require a good diet to begin with, and then you add the supplement on top of it based on the need of your pet. So I listed here a few main facts about supplements. They have ingredients that are high enough for efficacy, but not so high that they become detrimental. For instance, some people might ask, hey, my diet is complete. If I add a supplement, isn't that just going to make things worse? But no, yes and no. So we work with you with each diet and your own particular pet to determine what are the levels that should be in a supplement and what is going to be both efficacious and safe. The dietary supplements that you choose or should choose allow you to take an active role in maintaining the health of your pet, both before and after a veterinary visit, before you even get to a point where you have an illness that needs to be evaluated, and then also aiding and being an active participant in helping control the disease that your veterinarian may have diagnosed. And as I already mentioned, dietary supplements are selected based on the individual needs of your pet. Not every dog is the same, not every breed is the same, and not every household situation is the same. So you really must consider the needs of your individual pet. And of course, not all diets are created equal. So there are a variety of diets out there, including raw diets, pelleted diets, wet food, dry food, commercially prepared diets, fresh food. And the types of food that are becoming available to dogs and cats are really increasing over the last 10 years. And as a veterinarian, I think that's wonderful. I think it provides more options that are great and also can be more perfectly tailored to your individual pet and their needs. I particularly enjoy raw diets, and I'm really excited to hear what Ronny has to say. So this is a good thing. And also, you may have recently heard of some issues with recall diets in the news. And that is something that very commonly affects pelleted diets, specifically because of aspergillosis and or other fungal diseases that get into the foods that might not be well processed. Okay, so that's a little bit about supplements. And to find out more about all the different kinds of supplements that you can be offering your dog, whether or not kin+kind offers it, you can go to kin+kind University, where all of this information is readily available to you. And it also goes into nice detail of what each ingredient of any supplement might provide for you. So I really encourage all of you to check that out. So now, we will move on to achy joints, specifically how that affects your dog, whether your dog is young or old, and how it happens and where it comes from. So, you know what joints are. They're all over the body. They're all over you. They're all over any vertebral animal. So that's wrist, the carpus, your elbows, your hips, your knees, your ankles, and your back. And I think one of the areas that a lot of people might forget is a joint is specifically your back, which is a very big deal in dogs and cats, and humans, of course. So here's a nice photo. Actually, it's a little blurry, but you can see what I want to get at, which is the healthy joint space on the left. You can see, and this is an x-ray of a knee. And what you can see is a big gap in between the two bones. And that gap is actually cartilage. So the bones actually don't ever touch each other. They should never touch. Calcium on calcium, bone on bone. That should never happen. Instead, you always have a nice, healthy cartilaginous pad that helps things stay nice and soft. So the photo on the right, on the other hand, is a pad, a cartilaginous pad that actually is gone. It's missing. And so then you have bone on bone grinding on each other. And this is how arthritis develops. And Ronny, I did want to mention, if you have any comments that you want to interject, feel free. Always happy to hear from you.
No, everything's great. I'm excited about this.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So again, real brief, this is an arm of a dog. On the left, you can see normal, beautiful, healthy bones that have no extra growth or anything like that. But on the right, you can see a dog that has lots of extra growth. You can see little white areas on the outsides of the bone that look sort of like, I don't know, cauliflower growth. And that is growth of bone that's inappropriate. This is the cause of, could be caused by arthritis or genetic diseases, but either way, the extra bony growth in the bone is inappropriate and is painful and can be prevented by the right diet and activity. I already said the back. These are radiographs of your vertebra. And you can see in the top photo, most of these are normal. And remember, in between are nice cartilaginous pads that help the bones move together. But you can see on the far left of that top photo is something called ridging spondylosis starting. Now in the bottom photo, you could see it all on the bottom of the vertebra, much, much more. All of the vertebrae have these bony attachments to each other. I don't know if you could see my mouse, but this is called ridging spondylosis. And what that means is all of the bones are now joined together by calcium. And so if that dog or cat tries to turn, it's basically trying to break the bones, and that's incredibly painful. Now check out this next picture. This is the worst. This is all the bones together, all completely fused. You can imagine if this dog tries to get up and go for a nice walk outside, it would be very, very hard for it to move. Okay, so why exactly do achy joints happen? And remember, if anyone has any questions, please, please, please feel free to throw a question into the comment section, and I'll take a moment to answer. So why do these achy joints happen? You already know old animals, old people, old anything has age-related degeneration. So just breakdown of tissue. And this is a common problem across the board. But with that breakdown, you wind up getting bony growth. Bony growth like I showed you in that photo, that weird photo, the cauliflower picture, which causes pain. And then the animal has reduced activity. With reduced activity, they have reduced motion of that joint and therefore reduced blood flow, which makes it very difficult to clear up any inflammation. Young animals also, with regard to dietary imbalance, the wrong exercise, too much exercise, and predispositions, all can lead to achy joints. So we wanted to get into talking about natural ways to combat achy joints. So hold on, let me stop sharing my screen. Did that work? All right. So we are open to any questions, but in the meantime, I'm going to start getting into some of the natural ways that you can prevent and deal with pain relief in achy joints, and then we'll open it up to Ronny to offer some great insight on how to diet. can improve things in this area. So just in brief, treating and preventing joint pain always starts with a change in activity, whether that's on an old animal or a young animal. That means a change in exercise, less heavy exercises for a young animal, or more frequent walks for an older animal to ensure that those legs are getting lubricated with joint fluid. It seems counterintuitive for the older animal, but even when you're not walking, you could very simply just move their joints, like physical therapy, to get their joints to have new joint fluid and blood flow. A change in diet, of course, which I won't go into too much detail because that's what Ronny is going to talk about. But in brief, weight gain, inappropriate nutrition balances, genetic predispositions, everything really must be tailored to the individual dog or cat. And not every animal is going to respond to the same diet. So always you should consider speaking to a specialist in that circumstance. And then, of course, the way you carry your dog is exceptionally important. I already mentioned back pain, especially for older animals. You saw some of those pictures where the joints in the vertebra were fused together and essentially creating one long bone, which is not good. And so when you pick your dog up, it's always important to ensure that you're carrying them so that way you're protecting their back. Finally, nutritional supplements. There are many nutritional supplements out there that you can choose from, and they all include various ingredients like glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, or methylsulfonylmethane, omega-3s, calcium, vitamin Ds. These are all in a lot of these great new supplements that are out there. But I can tell you, and Ronny will tell you, this can also all be naturally found in a dog's diet if they have the correct balance. Kin+kind, we offer a really great supplement that is based with turmeric and also flaxseed, which is very simply put a spice that is very commonly found in Asian culture, curries, that has a chemical component called curcumin, which works to reduce inflammation. And also the omega-3s that are found in the flaxseed is fantastic because that also reduces inflammation, but also helps to absorb the curcumin into the body. So I don't want to belabor this point. I personally am a big fan of turmeric and also supplements that help with joint pain, but I think it's more important for us to get into how nutrition helps with achy joints. So Ronny.
Awesome. So great presentation, by the way. Nice. So in terms of nutrition, the first and foremost, we always want to make sure that the diet is complete and balanced. And when I say complete and balanced, that we make sure that that diet is providing at least the bare minimums for essential nutrients and amino acids, fatty acids, minerals, and vitamins. Outside of having that balanced diet, we're going to want to make sure the things that are important for the nutrients to help with achy joints are things like our omega-3 fatty acids, so EPA and DHA. But many do not talk about the other fatty acids like LA and ALA and making sure that those are balanced as well. So if we make sure the fatty acids in the diet across the board are balanced, so our omega-3s are at least a 2-to-1 ratio to our omega-6s, we can make sure that we're not promoting additional inflammation in the body. So our omega-3s have the anti-inflammatory benefits, whereas the omega-6 has the inflammation. So the body does need inflammation to be able to heal. So I think it's a buzzword in marketing terms for supplements or in food in general that we talk about anti-inflammatory, which is fantastic if the body is in excessive inflammation, but we have to make sure there's a balance there because the body does need to heal itself and it heals through inflammation. So the omega-3 and the omega-6, making sure those fatty acids are balanced at least to a 2-to-1 ratio. You could increase that ratio, and that would really depend on the clinical condition the dog is in, and of course with the guidance of a veterinarian if we need to go into higher dosages of our omega-3 fatty acids. So that's my first and foremost recommendation, is making sure those fatty acids in the diet are stellar. So where you could get those fatty acids, So we all know our omega-3s are going to come from fatty fish, and a common ingredient will be things like salmon or sardines and mackerel. And that's where we'll get our EPA and DHA. Our omega-6 fatty acids, my dogs are making some strange noises. Our omega-6 fatty acids are going to come from our animal-based products, so from our beef meat and our chicken and things like that. So if we make sure we balance it and make sure we're providing some omega-3s, we're going to help combat that inflammation and make sure that body is provided a balance essentially in the nutrition part. The other nutrient we want to look at is manganese. So manganese is actually very essential to joint health with developing of the bone as well as the ligaments. So ensuring that the diet is sufficient in manganese is going to help with the joints as well. Now, it's not going to promote any inflammation or anti-inflammatory benefits. It's just a nutrient that's there to make sure that our joints develop properly and maintain properly. So for our puppies, we want to make sure that our puppies' diet is sufficient in manganese, but we also want to make sure our adult dogs have sufficient manganese to be able to support and longevity of those joints. So foods that comes in is quite minimal in terms of what our dogs could biologically digest and get those nutrients from. Often from shellfish. So you'll hear things like blue mussels are pretty high in manganese. You could get it from things like some oatmeal. It'll be an oatmeal in small amounts. Green tripe from cattle or lamb. That's which is the stomach lining. That's all high in manganese and a natural food source of those without having to resort to supplementation. So those are the forefront on the nutrition side that I want to tackle when it comes to achy joints. Now, of course, like we said, there's tons of other sources we could include on that natural anti-inflammatories like turmeric, which the supplement from kin+kind is fantastic if you do not want to spend the time and make the golden paste, because that's the other alternative is spending the time in the kitchen and making that golden paste with the turmeric and coconut oil, whereas kin+kind provides that nice and convenient option where you could just scoop and add it to the bowl. But you did mention one thing that I do want to really nail in the point. When it comes for achy joints, the weight of the dog is probably the most important thing. If your dog is overweight, my first goal is to make sure your dog loses that excessive weight, because then we're just adding more stress to those achy joints. So if we could remove extra poundage, which we could do through calorie restriction in the diet, and we could help promote less inflammation in the body, and then combat it with those good supplements and any type of physical therapy necessary. So if we come at it from multiple angles and not just focus on specifically, we're just going to add supplements and hope for the best. If you do calorie restriction for overweight and obese dogs, increase your physical exercise. If your dog is overweight, it's probably best to work with a rehabilitation specialist, so you're not promoting any types of injury types of exercises. Puppies, make sure you're not exercising them too much, and then getting them on a complete and balanced diet with supplements that are going to support the health and longevity of those joints is what's going to set you up for success. So that's really all I have to say about the nutrition side.
I think that's wonderful, honestly. And if any of our viewers have any questions, feel free to start adding them to our comment section. Ronny, I did want to say personally, I am, as I mentioned in the beginning, I am a huge fan of what you do and the awesome diets that you offer. Raw food diets actually have kind of a bad rap, especially in the veterinary world, with regards to promoting it. But the reality that I have seen is first of all, I work with wild animals, and so all of them are getting raw diets for the most part. But and they're doing great. But also the formulations that you offer, the recipes on your website are fantastic, and they really do a great job of ensuring that the diets that you are suggesting people have are complete and very well rounded. And in many respects can really stand alone on their own, and it's very exciting. And I can tell you 100%, I am going to be giving my dog eggnog a recipe this winter. So.
It's Christmas season's approaching, so it's just in time. I hope he enjoys the recipe
Yeah.
too.
I might try it myself.
I'm sure it tastes delicious.
Okay, here's a nice. Okay, so Alice Webb says Mia has spondylosis and suspected lumbosacral stenosis. Problem is she also has IBD and is sensitive to lots of ingredients. So haven't been able to find a joint supplement she can tolerate. Turmeric equals diarrhea. CBD equals diarrhea. Any ideas about supplements that aren't meat proteins or shellfish based? So Alice, that's a really great question, and it's an important one because so many dogs respond to different things. But what I would suggest here is, or working with your veterinarian to try to determine a supplement or a veterinary drug that helps to reduce the inflammation either naturally or artificially, for that matter, because it works too. But what I've done in the past for animals that have had IBD, inflammation, I'll work with trying to find the correct supplement that actually reduces the general inflammation and targets the intestinal tract specifically. And a lot of that comes directly from the food that you're eating. Something that would either reduce inflammation at its source, or also it changes the bacteria that are in the gut to help also contribute to inflammation reduction, and then add the turmeric to help with the absorption. It's a multi-step process. It doesn't happen easily, and it takes a little bit of time to find out what the correct dosing is. Ronny, do you have any ideas with nutritional guidance?
So based off of just this information, IBD generally has issues with high fat, so that makes sense why turmeric and the CBD is causing diarrhea, because they are fat. Coconut oils and the turmeric and the CBDs generally have fat. So that would lead me to say is to steer away from fatty supplements and fatty foods, which would inflame the IBD. So there are other herbs like boswellia, which is total herbal, and it does have anti-inflammatory benefits, but you would need to work with an herbalist or a veterinarian to get the appropriate dosage for your dog. And then another option outside of a shellfish-based supplement, they do make vegan chondroitin, I want to say, maybe glucosamine. There is vegan joint supplements out there. So that would be the other option I would look into as the vegan options.
I do know of vegan glucosamine. I don't know vegan chondroitin, but you definitely look it up.
Yeah, I had a client a while back. I helped look for these supplements, and I can't remember if it was one or the other, because I know we ended up choosing, the dog could have beef-based foods, so we ended up doing collagen from beef, and then we got the vegan supplement, and so we were able to kind of pick and pull from different areas, and it worked well for that dog because he was able to tolerate it. So that would be the direction I would take for an IBD dog, specifically with this issue, because it sounds like the fat is what's flaring up IBD, and we're having some loose stools because of that.
Yeah. So there are other things, even a well-balanced vitamin B's have some properties for anti-inflammation as well. So, having that well-rounded diet, as well as a multivitamin, could assess or help with the lumbosacral stenosis and the spondylosis. So I understand that we're already trying to target the inflammatory bowel, but some of the well-rounded diets that don't have high fats can also help with joint pain. Does kin+kind ship to Australia? I think kin+kind ships everywhere, but I will have to confirm with the owner's link, and then I'll be able to let you know. So let's ask them, and I'll know immediately. Okay, here's another question. All right, here, kin+kind did respond. Unfortunately, they do not ship directly to Australia, but some of the products are listed on iHerb in Australia so that they can work with. So that's great.
Oh, that's cool.
It's mostly glucosamine, but I did find one supplement that had been drained and included that was a vegan product. That's Rachel Godfrey. Thank you very much for your help.
Very nice.
Yeah. Cool. Does anyone else have any questions for? My dog is snoring in the background.
My border collie keeps resting his head on my lap. Come up. Come on up. Say hi. Oh, there you go. You can't. You're too big.
So this is great, and I'm so happy to finally get to speak to you in person. Well, not in person, but over the computer.
Right.
Looks like Alice mentioned that her dog also reacts to other things like fruit, the high sugar content in the vegetables. Yes, so this is something that your dog needs a good specialist to work with directly to help work through both the IBD and the achy joints. So
right, there's some intricacies really working with all the conditions going on there that a professional would be better.
Okay, so with that, we have about 10 minutes left, and so I thought it would be a good time to go over our giveaway winners.
Awesome.
Mr. Ling, yeah, so hold on, we have, I think the winners are on host chat, so we have to move over here. Okay, so the winners for today's giveaway include, there's a good list of about 10 people, so Ashy the Caddy, Pack of Blairs, Pretty Girl Mila, Missy Dudes, Corey Danny B Mini Dudettes.
That was a tongue twister.
Micah Jarala, Lolly Lolly 2020, Luna Moon the Loon, Rach0227, and Spoiled Roddies. Congratulations to you all. How very exciting. So good for you. I hope you get an amazing gift for being here. And thank you so much for participating and watching this program with Ronny Lejeune. We have some really great, exciting new live streams coming ahead. And they include also discussing supplements for digestion, UTIs, overall health, as well as ear infections, which is a big one. My dog always gets ear infections. Essential oils in pets, as well as CBD. So you can find all of this information at kin+kind's website, but also you can email us at info@kin-kind.com, and you can be added to our whitelist. So very exciting to talk to you all. And Ronny, it was wonderful. Please, what do you have in store for your followers?
So for my followers, if you would like to find me at Raw Feeding University, which is my Facebook group, we are a community that's based to help you feed your dog a homemade raw diet, and however that looks, whether that's mixing it with your dry dog food, or if you're going 100% do it yourself, or if it's commercially prepared, or if it's a mix of all three. So we're just there to help all pet parents get on a complete and balanced raw diet. So our group on Facebook is probably one of the best resources you could get outside of my website, of course.
I completely agree. I highly encourage all of our viewers to go visit Perfectly Pawsome and the Facebook group. So thank you all for listening, and have a great day.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.